I hope this crisis gives us a renewed vision of what's really important. Our time. Our goddamn
and not
time.
doing fucking long-ass commencements. It's so funny. It was so funny the day of my commencement to, look around the room and be like, and you're hungover, and you're hungover, and you're hungover.
Content notices for this episode include mentions of the coronavirus pandemic, global warming and climate change, and racism. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rule 63 podcast. My name is Anna Marie. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
My name is Danny. I use he, series, and they series pronouns.
Where are we at, Danny boy?
We're at deleting social media. That's all I'll say about that.
It's crossed my mind many a times to want to delete social media. Partially because I can't, mostly because I can't handle the noise.
Yeah.
There are certainly days where I have to mute group chats because they're all popping off.
Yeah. It's also, the thing with social media is, I will have a mild opinion about something, and then people will be, saying something wildly insane about it, so then I'm forced into the opposite position when I didn't even have a strong opinion in the first place, and then I'm just like, this is just making me upset about a thing I didn't give a shit about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone has their own hot take on COVID.
So many COVID hot takes. I've been seeing compilation posts of celebrity Twitters complaining about being landlords.
Complaining about being landlords? What do you mean being landlords?
And I'm like, you could just not be a landlord then. Isn't that fascinating? You could just stop.
Yeah. You could just stop anytime. I wonder, the thing that crosses my mind, the thing that keeps me awake at night, is how are millionaires doing right now?
I just gotta know.
I'm so worried for them. Ugh. I don't think I follow any celebrity, proper celebrities on social media. I mean, maybe on Instagram, a few things, maybe bands, because I like hearing about music releases and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't need to know Meghan Trainor's take on COVID-19,
You don't need
I don't
to know
why
her take on
enough.
fucking anything.
I don't know why that name just popped into my head just randomly, but I want her to be safe. That's for sure. I want all humans to be safe.
But beyond that...
Beyond that, I'll just stick to the CDC website, thanks. Dr. Fauci. The only celebrity we just follow right now is Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci. Did you see that there was Marie Kondo discourse again?
Why?
Once again, white people are upset about Marie Kondo.
What are they upset about her for?
It was a return. Well, one lady who no one's ever heard of made this blog post or something about and within it complained about Marie Kondo and also Chrissy Teigen, which, I mean, complained about Chrissy Teigen, but Marie Kondo didn't do anything. But so now everybody's talking about fucking Marie Kondo again, and I've seen weird complaints from white people that she's selling her culture, and I'm like, who are you? Two, there was also this complaint that happened when the stuff first came out, where she's selling stuff like tchotchkes in her online store, and everybody's like, oh, you advocate minimalism but you're selling tchotchkes? And I'm like, when did Marie Kondo advocate minimalism? Sounds like you didn't pay attention. Anyway, that's the Marie
Yeah.
Kondo discourse, if anybody cared.
Great. I don't know if it's white people's business to, if you want to make money off your brand, fucking go
Yeah.
for it.
It's whatever.
Great.
That's it.
I love when white people just have to insert themselves into everything.
It's like you definitely know better than her what is like okay for her to culturally share or whatever. You definitely are the authority on that.
Right. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Discourse is terrible. I wish I could
It
just
is.
get off the fucking internet sometimes.
I wish it wasn't all like this. I'm like, have people always been like this and we just got access to the internet?
That used to be one of the things that gave me hope. That like we think the world is so terrible now, but we just have Twitter now and we just get to see all the bad. And all the good, but the bad just like because of our lizard brain just kind of triggers the fight or flight response in our brain. It gives us the
Yeah.
chemicals that make us go, we gotta run.
Yeah.
So we care about the bad more than the good.
And there's
The
like,
news
it's-
reports the bad more than the good because the news is supposed to be like public alerts as to what could potentially harm us. So
Yeah.
we're wired for danger or wired for fear. And so when you put everything in the world and every bad thing that's happening in the world in one place and make
Yeah.
that place also where you see your friends too. Like if there were a site for all news and then Facebook,
Yeah.
I think I'd have a much better time because I could see all the
It's-
friend things and then all the news
Sarah
things
Zed's
separate
video,
if I didn't want
like,
to.
OK Doomer
But now
video.
it's all one stream, one constant stream of bad.
Yeah.
So
Sarah Zed has that OK Doomer YouTube video.
yeah,
That's like basically that.
yeah, that's a good
But-
video.
It's a good video. But it is like, it's also like, yeah, like social media is like hard because there's so much garbage that you can see coming straight out of it, like how we talk about shit. And also like it connects marginalized people to like other people in their communities that they never would have been able to connect with before, and like
Hell
access
yeah.
to information and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like,
Hell yeah.
it's just a give and take.
It really is. I'm glad people say like, oh, the internet was a mistake. I don't know if that's really true. I just think we got internet too soon. We didn't deserve the internet yet.
I think we always are having to catch up to like what the healthy way to interact with a piece of technology is, because you just don't know going in. It's like how doctors always tell us, it's like everybody complains like every year doctors say a new thing is bad for you, and I'm like, yeah, because it took 50 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like it takes time to work out what's going on. You can't know going in.
Yeah. We were just talking about this the other night. How, initially they called it global warming and now it's called climate change, and everyone's like, oh, the global warming, it's cold outside. But we had that initial branding at first because we didn't know that certain systems existed, like ocean acidification was like a problem and a part of the process of climate change, so we just called it global warming. But now it's called climate change for that reason and other reasons. But that little bit
And
of
it's also getting
miscommunication.
It's
also getting warmer.
No, it doesn't mean it's not getting warmer.
Correct. That point is also true. Although that's not going to convince everyone, apparently.
No. It's not going to convince people who have decided already.
Yeah, people whose incentives and motivations are in line with, short-term profit and that kind of shit. Whatever, if you're listening to us, you already know.
Well, there's also, like... God, am I going to do this? Like, there's, like...
Do it. Fucking do it.
I mean, at least for, like, the the American culture is overwhelmingly Christian, right? And even people like Americans, like white Americans who are not explicitly Christian, are still like culturally Christian in certain ways.
Yeah.
And Christianity as a religion is like specifically very based in certain ways, and people argue about it, blah blah blah, but at least like mainstream Christianity is like very based in like believing a set of things. And I think you end up with a situation where a lot of people go, okay, well, this is the side of things I am on, and therefore I believe the entire set of beliefs that aligns with that side of things. So if like somebody's already decided that they're like fiscally conservative, they also can't believe in climate change because they have to take the whole
It's
whole
all or
thing.
nothing. It's all or nothing. I've never heard it put that way before, but yeah, sure. It's very hard to like get to that point where you're allowing yourself to be logically inconsistent.
Yeah.
Quote unquote logically inconsistent. You know, some people are out here describing themselves as socially liberal, fiscally conservative, as though that's possible.
Yeah.
Or logically consistent. But some people are, I guess, or at least they claim to be.
Yeah.
Whether or not they are in practice is another story, but yeah, I totally see that.
There's also some people who just want climate change to happen. There are evangelicals who both evangelical ministers who like preach like both that climate change is in fact happening, but it is caused by God and like the apocalypse, and we should actually ramp it up because like it's basically like apocalyptic accelerationism, that like it's a good thing, and if it happened faster it'd be better because the apocalypse is a good thing because it's the like coming of the kingdom of God, etc., etc. So that's
I'm not
terrifying.
really up to date on my rapture lore, but the rapture, from what I've gotten from just like popular culture, seems to be like this
Yeah.
one like boom, it's rapture time, baby, and then fucking everyone dies or something. Everyone that deserves to die dies. But climate change is going to be fucking slow and miserable and painful.
Yeah, and people imagine the apocalypse as like an instant,
Like a
and it
meteor
will be the
hitting.
slow death of everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Very positive note. for
Very
this
positive note
podcast.
here. Remember that thing that's actually going to kill us when this is all over?
Anna and I were like, oh god, we don't know what to talk about. Let's talk about our goals for the year. And now
This is just what it's
like, we're all
10
gonna
minutes later.
die.
10 minutes later. Well, you know, it's what's on the brain, you know?
It is.
You're actually subscribed to therapy with Anna and Danny. That's what this has been the whole time.
Yeah.
Just venting. Because this is our outlet. God, it really seems... I don't know what I'm getting at here. I just am sad about climate change.
Yeah.
And also eco-fascism, because you know it's going to happen. You know it's already happening. People are seeing, like, you know, less pollution from cars means that, you know, the air is getting a little bit cleaner, and there are dolphins in the whatever bay in whatever city. And now it's like, oh, humans are the virus. Humans are the problem. Like, no.
Even though actual scientists are already saying that it's not affecting CO2 levels, we're just seeing, like, the clear up of some pollution.
Yeah.
Which obviously is good, but, like, it's not fixing climate change.
No. There's no way out of this where we can keep consuming as normal.
Yeah.
And it'll just be fine. It'll work itself out. The goal is to consume less.
Yeah, but it's like even right now when we're doing all this less and like seeing some like air quality changes and stuff, we still like have basically now like hard evidence, if we didn't before, that the CO2 problem is not our personal problem. Like, and obviously our
Yeah.
consumption fuels industry to whatever extent, but like it's a lot of it is just not on us as individuals, because us as individuals locking ourselves in our houses did not do anything for the CO2 levels in the atmosphere.
No. The richest 10%. I'm going to mess up the statistic here, but you can look up the real statistic later, I suppose. But something like the richest 10% contribute the most to climate change, like 70 to 80% to climate change.
Yeah.
It's industries, it's companies, it's plastics producers, all of that shit. Bad. Concrete itself, like the making of buildings made out of concrete, is expected to contribute anywhere between 3 and 10% to climate change.
What?
Concrete. I recently learned this. This is an exciting fact, an exciting science fact. The process of making concrete is so energy intensive, and emits so much CO2 that the production of new buildings and construction out of the material concrete, the material cement, is a contributor of at least 3% of global emissions.
Oh my god.
Which is huge, right?
I fucking hate that. I hate that fact.
It's a fun fact. It's a not so fun fact.
You know it's a fun fact because it's not fun at all.
That's how you know it's fun. But you're absolutely right. It's corporations and it's rich people. And we shouldn't think of this as, well, obviously, our own personal decisions do matter. They matter
Yeah.
less so, orders of magnitude less, than the emissions from industries and companies. And individual people with private jets.
And
So
like,
individual choices do matter, but only if you're like owning a private jet.
and it's like we're really at a point where the only like things like plastics and gas and stuff that like we should be using right now are the things that we like we have to be using them for, like medical stuff, like medical waste. Yes, we have to keep using that and throwing it out because it's the most sterile and effective thing, but because we have to keep doing that, we really have to shut everything else down, because if we don't, we're not going to have anything for any of it.
Yeah, we need to ramp up production of masks and gloves and stuff real quick, and that's going to require sacrifice, because there are limited physical things in the world.
Yeah.
Remember that, capitalists? That there's a limited amount of matter on the planet, and infinite growth is not possible.
You can't just have infinite growth forever. I wish I remembered who it was, but somebody was like, there's no such thing as renewable energy. Haven't you heard of like the laws of physics? And somebody was like, wow, imagine if there was a giant ball of gas in our sky constantly emitting new energy into our atmosphere.
God damn it. Renewable is just the word we use to define sources of energy that replenish themselves without our input, or material input, or energy input. Fuck.
Yeah. Fuck.
I mean, by the time the sun burns out in 2 billion years, we'll have bigger problems on our hands.
Dead.
Us being dead shouldn't be the benchmark, but
No, I meant like
all of humanity being dead, yes.
Society and civilization.
I mean, if we don't fix this climate change shit, we got like 100 years. Or I don't know, I don't want to say like a hard deadline, because again, it's going to be a slow death, and it's going to impact the worst off in our societies, people of color, impoverished people.
Yeah.
Do these rapture people have a take on the fact that people of
No.
color are hit worse by this? No, they just fucking ignore that fact?
They either don't have a take or it's racist. I don't know the specific take, so I will not state one.
Yeah. Yep. Climate change.
Climate change.
Ugh.
We're already pouring all of our trash into poorer countries.
This is true. I think China recently made a policy move that it would no longer accept United States trash.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because, like, now where is it gonna go?
Aren't we just pouring it all into Africa now? And the ocean?
Probably.
I think when that first happened, we just had, like, barges of trash that we didn't know what to do with.
Yes.
Because China was like, actually, no. And the barges of trash were like, okay, I guess.
Christ.
Yeah.
And everyone celebrated that law, too. They were like, yeah, you go, China, making a commitment to the...
And it's like,
the
okay,
next
guys,
question
but
that you could
now what?
ask, the next question that you could logically ask, good job, China, but America, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We don't mean to alarm you, listeners. We merely wish to inform.
We're just trying to give some hot info.
Yeah. Jesus. I'm worried, Danny.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the state of fucking climate change. As well as our preparedness as well as a preparedness to deal with these sorts of things.
Yeah. I'm in a constant low-grade panic about climate change.
It's like right here in my mind. And maybe that's a bad analogy to say over this audio podcast, but
yeah.
I picture things that are worrying me, things I have to do or whatever, things that are on my mind as like planets orbiting my head, and things can kind of come into and out of my sight constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And some things are bigger and closer than other things. Some things are like phase locked, so they're always right in the back of my mind, so that when I go and look at them, they're there. But otherwise, when I'm just going about my day, they're not. I don't know if that makes any sense over audio, but
yeah.
Climate change is just this massive planetary body hanging directly 180 degrees behind me, and whenever I acknowledge it, I'm like, fuck.
Just you can slightly see it at all times.
It's in my peripheral vision.
Looming.
It's in my peripheral vision, looming all the time.
Yeah.
It's definitely a major contributor to doomer culture.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm 1995, okay? My birthday is actually next week, so yay me.
And then my birthday's exactly a week later.
We're so in sync. Even though I'm a Taurus and you're a Gemini.
Yep.
Or wait, did I say that? I'm a Taurus, you're a Gemini.
You said that correctly.
Oh, I'm tired. Anyway, it's definitely on the minds of the young people in the world. I just attended UConn's first ever virtual commencement, and by attended I mean I watched a YouTube video, live, a live YouTube stream video thingy, of university officials getting up on a stage and making a speech in front of no one, which was fucking wild. But along with that, they had some pre-recorded videos from various student leaders and people from the university, and one of them, a student who was graduating this year, Wawa Gatheru, who is an incredible person and winner of like 3 very prestigious scholar awards. Her speech was really good. It was like, yeah, our generation like was born in the wake of 9/11. We were learning our ABCs during the Hurricane Katrina crisis. We came of age during the recession.
Yeah.
Experienced this disastrous 2016 election, and now we're graduating in the fucking COVID-19 crisis. We fucking got this. That wasn't supposed to be like a depressing thing. It was supposed to be like a, look how much we've overcome. our generation is
Yeah.
probably going to be the most capable to deal with these sorts of crises in the future. And that was really fucking inspiring to see that. Even though it was so weird to watch a virtual commencement.
Yeah.
Probably what impacted me most was how short it was. Like, it was over and done in like 45 minutes, which, remembering my
Wow,
commencement...
that's a short-ass commencement.
I'm not to say that it was like bad or anything for it being so short. I was just thinking back to mine where I had to get up at like 6 a.m. to go sit in a field stadium thing with a bunch of other graduates, and then had to like walk out real slow,
Yeah.
get handed our degrees one by one. The speeches went on every five seconds, every sentence. We had to pause to clap. It was like a 4 or 5 hour ordeal. So now just seeing that a commencement is really just like a 45-minute thing, if we just cut out the fat, it's like, what the fuck? Why did I stand around
It's
for 5
because you have
minutes?
to organize hordes of 20-year-olds.
You know, I hope this crisis gives us a renewed vision of what's really important. Our time. Our goddamn
And not
time.
doing fucking long-ass commencements. It's so funny. It was so funny the day of my commencement to, like, look around the room and be like, and you're hungover, and you're hungover, and you're hungover.
Oh, yeah. A lot of my friends were hungover for commencement.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't even there. It was amazing. Amazing. What an accomplishment that was. Getting my bachelor's in chemical engineering. Ugh, what a time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Both of my commencements had bagpipes.
That's amazing. I don't think
I went to an
Yeah.
I went to an Irish Catholic school, and then I went to a school in Boston. So we got bagpipes.
Amazing. What? I think we just had like our school band or sporting event band, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
No bagpipes though, not to my recollection. I think I would have fucking remembered if we had bagpipes.
My undergrad had, like, bagpiping scholarships.
Scholarships, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that nuts?
I keep thinking back to this meme I saw that was like, oh man, we really needed to pay $10,000 in tuition every semester. That's the lowest we can go. And it's like, but I can throw this ball far as fuck. And I'm like, oh, lit. Here's a free ride.
Yeah.
Thinking a lot about that sort of thing lately as well with regards to education.
Get, like, a weird mix of getting totally screwed and getting, like, so many benefits.
Yeah, that has always interested me because they get like personal trainers and all this fancy stuff, their own dining hall, their own dorms, but also they just are worked to the fucking bone. One of my students
and
was
bring in so much revenue for the college.
They bring in so much money to the college. Yeah, it's like sporting beats like all engineering research by a fucking long shot. At my school. As much as we think we're hot shit over here in engineering, it's sports is where it's at.
Yeah.
One of my undergrads in my lab is a student athlete, and she's fucking incredible, first of all, for how much she does in general for my research and also for the university and sporting. And she's also like a straight A student, which like I don't know how she operates. Like I was not.
Yeah, Jesus.
I know, right? Like I'm a PhD. You'd think like, you know, the out of my class, maybe like 3 people went on through their PhD. I'm not that great. I wasn't that great in undergrad. So what the fuck is she going to do with her life? Probably something even more amazing than me. But anyway, she's just like a firecracker. She's so involved. She's so on top of her shit. And I'm just like, you're a superhuman for how much you put up with, for your crazy schedule and all that.
Yeah.
But other people
Like,
are
when
just
you
like, yeah,
sleep-
they just get personal trainers. They're pampered. I'm like, no, they're have very specific needs, and we need to accompany them and accommodate them.
I think it's like it's obviously frustrating to like sometimes see people who aren't necessarily working as hard in their class as you, and that's not everyone, because I know plenty of student athletes who were like working super hard, and like that person straight A student. But like I think people get like frustrated, like, oh, these people aren't like working as hard in their class, or like get away with certain stuff or whatever, and I'm like, that doesn't mean that student athletes are collectively pampered,
right?
And
exactly.
doing nothing.
Yeah, they're doing so much. Yeah, I mean, our immediate instinct is to treat it as like, oh, it's just like their job. Like if you were a student that worked at Subway or something, you just had your job and you had your school and it was your personal responsibility. Recurring theme here: individual personal responsibility versus understanding as a community your specific needs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I attended this whole seminar one time about supporting student athletes in the classroom, and that was my mentality going in. But after coming out, I was like, fuck, student athletes are so busy, it's insane.
Yeah.
Just ask a student athlete, or just like do some reading about it, because it is intense.
Yeah, their schedules are nuts.
Absolutely nuts. Like 20, 30-hour weeks of trainings and games and stuff. It's wild. I don't know how anyone would have time for chemical engineering classes and being a student athlete. So the fact that mine did all of that is fucking incredible. Good job. You know who you are.
I barely survived just being a student.
Yeah. I was just a student. I didn't work. I didn't do shit. And I was still very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yep. So, good on you. Student I won't name for privacy reasons.
Good on you.
I appreciate you so much. But yeah, commencement was really cool. I'm celebrating my own mini little commencement type thing. I'm not graduating my PhD or anything, but I finished all the courses for my PhD coursework, and
Woo.
I finished all the courses for my graduate certificate in college instruction, or GCCI at UConn, which is a graduate certificate in college instruction.
Neat.
It's basically like a certificate that you can get. It's 9 credits of classes. That's all based around like building your skills as a teacher and learning about course design and stuff. And it was so nice and so useful to me as a future educator. I don't even know where to begin on that, but we went really in depth with things like course design and stuff that they just don't prepare you to do in engineering in general.
It's such a problem in academia where, like, obviously PhD students TA, and that, like, helps get them some experience. But, like, a lot of, like, PhD tracks expect you to eventually, like, you're going to work at a college where you're going to have to be a professor, and then, like, just don't do anything besides use your free labor as a TA, and don't do anything to teach you how to teach at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah, the requirement is supposed to be like you gain teaching experience, but a lot of people that do TA ships just kind of like grade papers or supervise a lab-based class for a couple semesters. And there's this mentality in the field where any expert in the field can be a good teacher for the field, but teaching is its own skill that requires years and years of practice and training to be good at. So, yeah. that's that on that. But
that's that.
That's that. But these courses in the GCCI really, I sound like a fucking advertisement right now, but if you're a UConn student and you're a grad student and want to get into teaching, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Because I've never like thought about course design before. I think most of the classes that I've taken, or at least at the surface, seem to be like, oh, we're teaching the textbook. Whereas it's like, okay, let's think about that completely reversed, where you choose the textbook last. You think about what are the actual learning goals, what do you want to teach the students, what you want them to get out of the course, and then go from there, and then you pick a textbook that fits those needs specifically, rather than taking a book in the field and being like, all right, that's good, and then teaching the derivations and stuff in that book and giving them problems from the book and stuff.
Yeah.
Although that's what textbooks were kind of designed to do, that's not really what's proven to work. And also things like...
It's sort of...
Yeah.
It's sort of like if your professor assigns their own textbook, you're like, oh, great.
Yeah, I've had that before, too.
This course is just going to be you reading your textbook at me.
I've had that. And that works, well enough if they're like the expert in the field and the textbook's actually good, but... And then there's other things like active learning measures that engineering doesn't really use as often. Like I would take these courses in like ed psych where we would all just get into the classroom and then just like talk. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know how to talk to my classmates.
Yeah.
Cause it was just like walk in, watch the professor do a derivation, go home. Take exam. Hopefully you learned it. But discussion-based learning, active learning, fucking mind-blowing. And apparently people have been doing it for decades and just hasn't made its way. I'm sure you had
more of a problem with that in STEM.
Yeah. For sure. But hopefully I can take these techniques into STEM myself when I become a professor. That'll be really exciting.
I think sometimes like STEM classes have that sort of like, I am going to feed you information.
Just soak it all up.
Then you will
baby.
Repeat the information back at me. And I've certainly had humanities professors who did that. But so many of my classes were just like inherently discussion based.
Mm-hmm. I've only had discussion-based classes in non-STEM. Because, STEM is a lot of, like, mathy stuff. So I get it. Yeah. You just have to learn the equations. You have to learn how to solve the problems. And that requires some... Let me show you how to do the thing.
Yeah, there's definitely an extent to which it's necessary.
For sure. But beyond that, barring that, I think we could definitely do a lot more. And I'm not the first person to fucking say this. The field of engineering education has popped off in the past decade or so. And I'm just kind of getting into it now. But I hope to get a lot more engrossed in the literature in the coming years and hopefully make a career out of that. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, I'm accomplished apparently. No more courses for the rest of my PhD, thank God. Can focus all on research. It's going to be amazing.
That's great.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I can get back to lab, that is. Because
they'll let you back eventually.
They're letting us back. Current guidelines, the current day is May 11th.
Yes.
Current guidelines is starting May 20th. If we successfully apply through the university and the office of the vice president of research and successfully craft a COVID-19 safety plan, we can return to work. As long as we initiate some sort of like phased work or shift type model where only one or two people are in the lab at the same time, physical distancing is taking place, everything's cleaned constantly. As long as we follow all the rules and create a specific plan, we can start working May 20th if we want to. My advisor's been very good about like, you don't have to go back to lab unless you're 100% comfortable doing so, which is good. I feel like all PIs were told that because just a few weeks ago my PI was very bent on everyone getting back to work as soon as possible, but now he's like changed his tune a little bit to be like, come back only if you're really, really comfortable. So I told him no, because I'm not fucking comfortable. We were sitting in group meeting this past Friday and talking about it, and like the mere idea of going back to work, even next week or even in the next few weeks, just filled me with so much terror that I was physically shaking.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the biggest thing is having like available testing until anyone can get tested whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
feel comfortable going back into the public and
The
back to
test-
work.
The test is horrible.
What is the test, Danny?
It obviously there are worse medical tests out there. They stick. It's one of the ones where they stick a cotton swab like up your nose, like all the way back, and then and collect a sample that way, and it feels like death.
Have you experienced this?
I haven't had it. Kyle had to. It's how they test for multiple things, and so Kyle had to like do a lot of like different things, like pricking your finger and stuff like that in his classes during school, and that was one of the things that they had to do.
Wild.
Yeah. It's horrible. I don't like the idea of it at all.
I think I heard someone describe the experience as like they're sticking it through your nose and it feels like it's picking from the back of your brain.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Ugh. It's so gross. It's like making me squeamish just talking about it.
oh God.
Ugh. There apparently in Connecticut, at least on the 20th, restaurants are going to be allowed to open for outdoor seating. And I'm like, I will not be going to a restaurant on May 20th.
Fuck no. That's what I have to say about that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing right now and what I've been doing for the past 8 weeks for as long as I feel it. Like,
Yeah.
nothing is going to change for me on May 20th, except maybe I'll be even more strict with myself about going out in public
Yeah.
and wearing a mask and washing hands, because I know everyone else is going to fucking be going around walking
Yeah.
outside and stuff.
My mom
But not
is,
me.
like, is like talking about how much she like wants to like go out when everything's done, but even she was like, yeah, that they're doing that May 20th. I'm gonna wait a month and see if everyone starts dropping dead before I go anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to do
give it
shit
a month
until
to see.
Yeah, a month is a good time frame because, you know, May 20th, everyone goes out, starts intermingling, symptoms show 2 to 3 weeks later. So, yeah.
So you'll kind of know at that point if it was a terrible idea. And I'm thinking it may be.
I'm thinking it fucking will be. Given the transmission rate and the mortality rate. God,
Yeah.
I'm terrified. Of course, any day
It's
now the
awful.
governor can be like, no, actually, it's going to be June. Something.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have at least a good amount of faith in our governor.
yeah.
I'm like, all right,
I mean,
he's not just throwing us all into the fucking pits of hell.
time to reopen is not when things start to go down. It's when they're fucking almost flat, like
Yeah.
at the bottom. Do you want to wrap it up for this time, Danny? On that very positive note, on that very hopeful note.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we hope you all stay safe, and we hope you all, despite whatever your states or whatever guidelines are, just keep staying the fuck inside. Like,
Yeah. It's a good idea to not go out the second they say you're allowed to.
right. And
Obviously, some of y'all are gonna have to.
sure. And advocate for more tests in your area.
Yeah.
Because, holy shit, we should be at the point where everyone can be tested.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Tune in next week where we'll talk about something, I guess.
Something.
Have a nice day. Bye.